Hello students. Today we are going to discuss a new topic from trade to territory. Class 8 History chapter number 2. In this discussion, a student will study the problems faced by the British East India Company while setting up trade with India. They will learn about the setting up of the first English factory in India and how trade led to battles between the company and the Indian rulers. They will also learn how the company finally assumed Diwani and benefited from it. Additionally, they will study the strategy adopted by the company to expand its rule in India as well as the administrative and military reforms introduced by the company after it came into. Aurangzeb was the last of the powerful Mughal rulers. He established control over a very large part of the territory that is now known as India. After his death in 1707, many Mughal governors and big zamindars began asserting their authority and establishing regional kingdoms. As powerful regional kingdoms emerged in various parts of India, Delhi could no longer function as an effective center. By the second half of the 18th century, however, a new power was emerging on the political horizon: the British. Did you know that the British originally come as a small trading company and were very reluctant to acquire territory? How then did they come to be masters of a vast empire? East India Company comes east. In 1600, the East India Company acquiring a charter from the ruler of England, Queen Elizabeth I, granting it the sole right to trade with the East. This meant that no other trading group in England could compete with the East India Company. With this charter, the company could venture across the oceans, looking for new lands from which it could buy goods at a cheap price and carry them back to Europe to sell at higher price. East India Company begins trade in Bengal. The first East India Company factory was set up on the banks of the river Hooghly in 1651. This was the base from which the company's traders, known at that time as factors, operated. The factory had a warehouse where goods for export were stored, and it had office where company officials sat. As trade expanded, the company persuaded merchants and traders to come and settle near the factory. By 1696, it began building a fort around the settlement. 2 years later, it bribed Mughal officials into giving the company zamindari rights over 3 villages. One of these was Kalikatta, which later grew into the city of Calcutta or Kolkata, as it is known today. It also persuaded the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb to issue a farman. Farman means a royal order, granting the company the right to trade duty free. The company tried continuously to press for more concessions and manipulate existing privileges. Aurangzeb's Farman, for instance, had granted only the company the right to trade duty free, but officials of the company who were carrying on private trade on the side were expected to pay duty. This they refused to pay, causing an enormous loss of revenue for Bengal. The Battle of Plassey. When Alwardi Khan died in 1756, Sirajudaulah became the Nawab of Bengal. The company was worried about his power and keen on a puppet ruler who would willingly give trade concessions and other privileges. So it tried, though without success, to help one of Sirajuddaullah's rivals become the Nawab. And infuriated, Sirajuddaulah asked the company to stop meddling in the political affairs of his dominion, stop fortification, and pay the revenues. After negotiations failed, she marched, the Nawab marched with 30,000 soldiers to the English factory of Kasim Bazar, captured the company officials, locked the warehouse, disarmed all Englishmen, and blocked English ships. Then he marched to Calcutta to establish control over the company's forts there. On hearing the news of the fall of Calcutta, company officials in Madras sent force under the command of Robert Clive. Reinforced by naval fleets, prolonged negotiation with the Nawab followed. Finally, in 1757, Robert Clive led the company's army against Sirajuddaulah at Plassey. One of the main reasons for the defeat of the Nawab was that the force led by Mir Jafar, one of Sirajuddaullah's commanders, never fought the battle. Clive had managed to secure his support by promising to make him Nawab after crushing Sirajuddaulah. The Battle of Plassey became famous because it was the first major victory the company won in India. After the defeat of Plassey, Sirajuddaulah was assassinated and Mir Jafar made the Nawab. The company was still unwilling to take over the responsibility of administration. Its prime objective was the expansion of trade. If this could be done without conquest, through the help of local rulers who were willing to grant privileges, then territories need to be taken over directly. Then the Battle of Buxar. Battle of Buxar. When Mir Jafar protested, the company deposed him and installed Mir Qasim in his place. When Mir Qasim complained, he in turn was defeated in a battle fought at Buxar 1764. Driven out of Bengal and Mir Jafar was reinstalled. The Nawab had to repay rupees 5 lakh every month, but the company wanted more money to finance its war and meet the demands of trade and its other expenses. It wanted more territories and more revenue. By the time Mir Jafar died in 1765, the mood of the company had changed. Having failed to work with puppet Nawabs, Clive declared, "He must indeed become Nawabs ourselves." Finally, in 1765, the Mughal emperor appointed the company as the Diwan of the province of Bengal. The Diwani allowed the company to use to vast revenue resources of Bengal. This solved a major problem that the company had earlier faced. From the earlier 19th century, 18th century, its trade with India had expanded, but it had to buy most of the goods in India with golds and silvers imported from Britain. At the end of the discussion, you have some homework to complete. Thank you.